everybody, Novak here, and today we're working on my channel's favorite car. Apparently, it's the most popular car. My wife's 2008 Mercury Milan. She needs new brakes, brake pads, and rotors. She has a steering wheel shake when you brake, and if you have a steering wheel shake only when you're braking, usually means you have warped rotors. I had hers turned about 6 months ago. They lasted for a while. Didn't seem, I don't know if it's her or what, but they've already went out of whack again. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to replace the rotors and the pads. This will work on all 2006 Mercury Milans and Ford Fusions up to, I believe it's 2012 for the Fusion, and then 2011 for the Milan, since I think they quit making on 11. But alright, let's go ahead and get into this. Alright everybody, for this job, you're going to need 14mm socket or wrench, does not matter. You're going to need a 15mm wrench and or socket, again does not matter. A 17mm wrench in case your guide wheels spin when you go to tighten up your caliper. A T40 to get the bolts out of your, well, they're screws really, out of your rotors that hold them on, T40. And then you're going to need a C-clamp. C-clamp is to put compress in your caliper. That's really it. Don't need a whole lot of jobs to do this. You don't need a whole lot of tools to do this job. And if you do it yourself, you save yourself a couple $100. Parts we'll be using. I ordered from rockauto.com. I got brake pads and rotors for the Milan and also for my pickup truck. They were pretty cheap. I work in a diesel shop. I can get discounts on like O'Reilly parts and things. Even with my shop discount, O'Reilly and Napa, Rock Auto was still about $30 cheaper, so I went with them. Alright. Here are the brake pads for the Milan. I just got Monroe. I've used some of this stuff before, and pretty happy with it. Solid packaging, decent pads. Came with new hardware, which is nice. I'll show you how to put all that in. And then also got the rotors in here. We'll be opening that up in a second. And here we got the rotors. It's a very interesting packing job that Rock Auto did. They jammed 2 boxes inside of, together, and taped it shut. That's interesting. Easy to do if I can find my other camera mount, but I can't. Alright, let's take a look at these. These are also Monroe. Just wanted everything to kind of match. Alright, so these are the right ones. Make sure that you have these holes here because there are screws that hold these rotors in place. So if you don't have these screw holes, you might have the wrong ones. So keep an eye out on that. Next up, everybody talks about, next up, if you don't have an impact like I do, you would want to at least loosen up your lug nuts before you lift up the car, with a breaker bar or whatever you got. I have an impact gun, so I'm skipping that. I'm going to use that. Is the jack of your car. Everybody kind of wonders, a lot of people do, like the safe place to jack up your car. There's something called a pinch well down here at the bottom, and it's where the body panels are pinched together and welded. It's actually a very strong spot. That's where I place my jack stands. That's where I jack up the car. Don't need to get the car super high, we're just doing brakes. So. And as always, you want to give the car a shake to make sure everything is fine once you get on the jack stand. Actually, you can take off your 5 lug nuts. It is 19 millimeter. A 3/4 will fit on there, but it will possibly damage your stud. But if you have a a tire bar that came with the car, that's 19 millimeter. You'll be fine. Or if you have a full way, 19 millimeter should be an option on it. Get all your lug nuts off, then get your wheel out of the way. Just doing pads. You got a bolt up top here, another bolt down low there that you got to get out in order to get your pads out. I already started loosening them. Get them both out, and then you got to pull the whole caliper out. Alright, after you get this loose, you can pull the whole thing out of the way and lose a bunch of your hardware. Make sure you track that down if you don't have new hardware. We do, so it's not really a problem. Now you can get your pads out. And my pads weren't shot yet at all. Just the rotor was wiggling, so I just didn't want to take the chance. Pads aren't that expensive, so decided to replace it all. Next, we got to get off this bracket. There are 2 bolts here on the back. There's one, and then there's the other down on the bottom there. And then we'll get that bracket out of the way, and then we will be able to get to the 2 screws that hold the rotor on. Get these 2 bolts out. These are 15 millimeters. You can set your hardware out over there. And then next, we're going to get the Torx bit to get these out. It is a T40 to get these out. And mine came out fairly easy. I've had these rotors off before. Sometimes they are not quite this easy to get off. Honestly, I can't remember if I anti-seized them last time, but sometimes you will have to fight with these. And on the Fusion when I did this, I had to add heat. My old car was a Fusion that we had before this Milan. Just hit it with the torch for about 5. I didn't have a strong torch, but I just hit it with a regular propane bottle torch you can get at Walmart for about 5 minutes, and it came loose. And that also helped the hub come loose. But after you get, not the hub, I'm sorry, helps the rotor come loose. After you get these 2 out, you can get your rotor off. Okay, sometimes rotors will be a little stuck. If you're replacing them, you can do whatever you want to get them off. Doesn't matter if you damage them. If you're getting them turned, be careful. But I'm not, so. And it's off. You want to get your new rotor on. If you have, if you're going cross-shield and slotted rotors, I don't even do it on the race car. I would do slotted but never drilled. Makes no sense to me. Those are directional. There'll be a sticker that says driver and passenger. Make sure you pay attention. But if you have a regular solid rotor like this one, it doesn't matter how you put it on, with the exception of these 2 bolt holes need to line up when you put it on. So mine goes on like so. And then get your 2 screws back in. I don't torque them that high. They don't need to be torqued that high. They just really kind of meant that to hold it, stop shaking. Talking to like 10, 15 foot-pounds, that's all you need. Starting the bolts by hand, you can go ahead and just, like I said, you don't got to give them super, super hard cranks or anything like that. Just enough to get it as tight as you need. Finger blast that down a little more. So you just want to, this would be easier if I could find my head cam. Just want to give it a little snug up. That will good. And we're good there. Alright, let's get this. If you want, you can try to put your hardware on this before you put it in. It's a little easier, I think. So we're going to put the hardware on it beforehand. Also, it's worth noting to make sure that both of these pins still move. If these pins are not moving freely, that means that your rotor is not going to move correctly either. I'm sorry, not your rotor. Your caliper is not going to go correctly, and you're going to use one side of pads harder than the other. So make sure that both of these are free and moving. I replaced the hardware. It was a little difficult to get out. I replaced most of it at least. This clip right here grabs really hard. When you try to get the old one out, so you might have to pry on it a bit. It comes out. Make sure when you put the new one in, slide this part in first, then push down firmly, and it will stay nice and tight. And then you got to put the little sliders in there. You got a couple of them. They're just little metal slides. They just pop right in. Okay, after you get the rest of your hardware in place, you're going to want to get your bolts, the bigger ones. Get your housing in place and bolt it back down. Alright, next up you want to put your pads in after you tighten up your housing. Mine's nice and tight. Make sure you look out. Some of these will have wear indicators on them. Like, they'll make a noise once they get to a certain point and you'll be audible and you can hear it in your car. These don't have wear indicators. If you have some with wear indicators, make sure that you get a one wear indicator on each side. If you don't, you'll have an issue. They go on pretty easy. Just slide in here on the bottom. Sorry about this, people. It's easier. It would be a lot easier if I had more than one hand. But anyway, you slide them in. You might have to pull back on these tabs here to get them in place. After you fight a little bit with your getting your pads in place, you want to put these springs in. These springs will keep your pads from resting on your rotors. Make sure you get them both in. 2 holes on each side. And then there you go. Next, we need to compress in the caliper. Alright, up next for this part, I usually just grab an old pad, put it on top here, hold it in place, and then you got to get your C-clamp on it, and then you'll be able to push in the caliper as you push in on the C-clamp. Alright, now the reason we're pushing this in is so we can get it to fit around our new pads. The new pads are going to be thicker than the old ones that we got off the car. And also the rotor's thicker, everything's thicker, so I want to keep compressing it in until it is flush. This is different if you're doing rear brakes on the Milan or the Fusion. There is a special tool you have to use that twists as you push in the caliper. Not on the front though. The reason that it's on the back is because of the handbrake. Alright, now it's nice and compressed in. See how it's flat with the rubber? Now you can undo it and then get it back in position. Sometimes, just letting you guys know, it is not easy to get these to thread in if this is your first time ever doing a brake job on a car. Sometimes you gotta jiggle it back and forth a bit to get it lined up correctly. Once you do, it should thread in. Now when you are using a socket, sometimes you might have to grab a wrench to help you the way you can tighten it up, because sometimes this right here will free spin. Just grab yourself a wrench. In our case, it's a 17mm if you're working on a Milan. Slide that in place, and then it will hold it tight. Sometimes you don't need to, so yeah. Like in my case, I didn't need to. Alright, then all that's left, grab some brake clean or whatever, get all your fingerprints off the rotor, put your wheel back on, and you're done. Don't forget, before you drive your car, to pump up your brakes. Make sure your brake pad is nice and firm, because we're compressing the caliper, and the first time you try to go to stop, it might not stop easy. So before you leave your garage or your house or wherever you're doing it at, pump your brakes until the pedal feels normal. The first couple times it will go to the ground. And also, do not forget to torque your lug nuts to 100 foot-pounds. That's what Ford recommends for the Fusion and Milan. And Lincoln MKZ or whatever it is, if you have one of those. Alright everybody, Car's back on the ground. Took it for a test drive. Everything's golden. Hopefully you guys like this video. It will help you save a lot of money. Brakes and rotors are quite expensive if you go to the dealer or a shop. I mean, you can see it's not that hard. It's got that basic knowledge and some patience. And you can get them on there. Probably save yourself $150 if you do it yourself. I do recommend it. $150 to $200. And if you like these videos, please like and subscribe for more. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.